The council chamber floated in the cold darkness of space, a massive ring-shaped station orbiting a neutron star. Thousands of lights twinkled along its surface, each representing a different species that claimed a seat in the Galactic Council. Inside the vast circular room, beings of countless shapes and sizes waited in their designated sections. The air hummed with the constant chatter of translation devices, turning alien languages into understandable speech. Ambassador Jake Miller stood alone in the center of the chamber, surrounded by creatures he had never seen before. His simple, black suit seemed terribly out of place among the elaborate alien garments and technological enhancements worn by the other delegates. Behind him, Earth's tiny delegation consisted of only 3 people, dwarfed by the hundreds gathered around them. The Speaker of the Council, a floating jellyfish-like creature, pulsed with bright colors as it addressed the room. "We have called this emergency session to address the human problem," it announced, the translation device giving its words a mechanical tone. "The species known as humans have expanded beyond their permitted borders. They have established unauthorized colonies in sectors 7G through 9H. Jake felt his jaw tighten. Those unauthorized colonies were home to millions of humans who had worked for decades to build lives on new worlds. They grew food, raised families, and built cities. The Council had ignored humanity's expansion for years, and now they suddenly cared. A tall insect-like creature rose from its seat. "The humans must abandon these colonies immediately. It is the will of the Council that all junior species remain within their designated zones." Its compound eyes fixed on Jake. "Your species has exactly 1 standard cycle to comply." Murmurs filled the chamber. Most species that faced Council ultimatums took months to negotiate, trying to find compromises or win exceptions. The Council members shifted in their seats, preparing for the usual diplomatic dance. Jake took a deep breath. He thought about the colonists. He thought about Earth's military leaders waiting for his signal. Most of all, he thought about how humanity had spent 20 years preparing for exactly this moment. "Then we choose war," Jake said clearly. The chamber fell silent. Translation devices whirred and clicked, double-checking the words they had just processed. No one moved. No one spoke. The massive room, designed to hold 1,000 conversations at once, had never been this quiet in its 10,000-year history. The floating speaker's colors shifted rapidly, showing confusion and disbelief. "You choose war?" it repeated. "Against the entire Galactic Council?" "Yes," Jake confirmed. "We reject your ultimatum. Our colonies will remain. If you want them gone, you'll have to remove them by force." An armored warrior species hammered its weapons against its chest. "Foolish. The Council has kept peace for 50,000 years. No species has dared challenge us." Another alien, resembling a collection of geometric shapes, spoke up. "Perhaps." The translation failed. Surely no junior species would be so unwise. But Jake's human assistant, Lisa Martin, stood up beside him. The translation was correct. Humanity declares war on the Galactic Council. The silence shattered. Council members erupted in a dozen different languages. Some laughed at humanity's boldness. Others shouted about teaching these upstarts a lesson. A few, however, looked thoughtful, even concerned. "Order," the speaker demanded, its body flashing red. When quiet returned, it addressed Jake directly. "Ambassador Miller, we give you one final chance to reconsider. The Council has never been challenged. Our combined fleet numbers in the millions. Your entire species has perhaps a few thousand ships at most." Jake smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "We know your fleet size, we know your technology, and we're not reconsidering." "You doom your species," warned a lizard-like being with scales that shifted colors. "The Council shows mercy to those who submit. To those who resist?" "We've heard your mercy," Jake interrupted. "You forced the Kredlin species to give up faster than light travel. You dismantled the Yorth civilization when they built orbital habitats without permission. You keep younger species weak and dependent." He looked around the chamber. "You call it peace. We call it oppression." A spider-like creature with dozens of eyes clicked its mandibles. You have spent mere centuries in space. We have maintained galactic order for millennia. Your colonies are built on worlds we charted thousands of generations ago. Charted and then ignored, Lisa Martin pointed out. Those planets were empty when we arrived. We asked for peaceful expansion rights. The Council delayed our requests for years. The proper procedures take time, the geometric alien stated. Protocols must be followed. While our people remain trapped on a single world, Jake countered, unable to grow, unable to escape planetary dangers while you decided if we were worthy of your permission. The speaker's colors shifted to a warning pattern. This defiance is unprecedented. We officially declare humanity in breach of Council law. You have one local day to withdraw your declaration of war. After that, the Council's enforcement fleet will respond. Jake reached into his pocket and pulled out a small communicator. Computer, connect to Earth command. A pause, then a crisp voice came through. Ambassador Miller, this is General Ryan. Cooper, we're receiving the Council's communications. All forces are ready. General, send the prepared message to all Council members, Jake ordered. Sending now, sir. Within seconds, every Council member's communication device received a data packet. Holographic displays activated across the chamber, showing star charts, fleet positions, and technical data. The armored warrior's eyes widened. This is Council military intelligence. How did humans obtain classified information? A gaseous being swirled anxiously. These fleet positions are current. They couldn't possibly know where our defense forces are located. We know more than you think, Jake said. We've been preparing for this conversation for a very long time. The lizard-like delegate studied the data. Your ships use unusual designs. These power signatures don't match any known technology. That's because we developed our own, Lisa Martin explained. While you assumed we were copying your outdated designs, our scientists created something new. Impossible, scoffed the spider being. Junior species don't innovate. They adapt existing technology. Jake's smile grew wider. That's the second mistake you're about to make. The first was assuming we'd submit. The second is underestimating our technology. The speaker attempted to regain control. The Council has destroyed species for less defiance. We offer you one last opportunity. Submit now, evacuate your illegal colonies, and accept Council guidance. The alternative is annihilation. Jake looked at the alien faces around him. Some showed fear, others anger, a few curiosity. He saw species that had once been proud civilizations, now reduced to loyal pets of the Council. He saw the bureaucratic machinery that prevented change, innovation, and freedom. Our response hasn't changed, he declared. If the Council wants our colonies, come take them. We'll be waiting. The geometric alien made rapid calculations. Probability of human victory, 0.001%. This is mathematical certainty. Mathematics is wonderful, Jake agreed, but wars aren't won by numbers alone. They are when the difference is this vast, the armored warrior growled. The Council's enforcement fleet alone contains over 300,000 ships. Your entire civilization possesses fewer than 10,000. Interesting, Lisa Martin commented. You seem very confident about those numbers. They are our official records, the spider being stated. Every ship is registered, tracked, and accounted for. Jake and Lisa exchanged glances. Lisa, why don't you show them our fleet registry? Lisa tapped her communicator. Another data packet spread through the chamber. This time, even the usually emotionless mechanical being showed surprise. This cannot be accurate, the spider being insisted. You claim 35,000 combat vessels? And those are just the ones we're willing to tell you about, Jake confirmed. Murmurs rippled through the chamber once more. The mathematical certainty the geometric alien had calculated suddenly seemed less certain. The speaker's colors shifted to confused patterns. How did your species build such a fleet without our knowledge? We're good at keeping secrets, Jake replied simply. The Council monitors all shipyard activity, the lizard delegate protested. No species can hide ship construction on this scale. True, agreed Lisa Martin. That's why we didn't use shipyards. Before anyone could ask what she meant, Jake continued. The Council has exactly one standard cycle to withdraw its ultimatum. After that, consider yourselves at war with humanity. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and one more thing. We've already sent envoys to several other species with offers of trade and alliance. Some of them haven't enjoyed being under Council control for thousands of years. The chamber erupted in chaos as Jake and his small delegation walked toward the exit. Behind them, Council members shouted demands for clarification, threatened retaliation, and argued among themselves. The translation devices struggled to keep up with the multiple simultaneous conversations. As they reached the docking bay where their shuttle waited, General Cooper's voice came through the communicator again. Ambassador, we've received confirmation that the Zorthak Empire has begun moving ships to defensive positions. The Kredlin have requested immediate diplomatic channels. It appears your announcement has caused some unexpected ripples. Just as we planned, General, Jake replied. Now comes the hard part. The shuttle's airlock sealed behind them. Through the viewports they could see several Council ships hastily departing, their FTL drives charging. The news would spread quickly across the galaxy. For the first time, in 50,000 years, someone had declared war on the Galactic Council. As their shuttle turned toward home, Lisa Martin asked, "Do you think they really believed we'd back down?" Jake settled into his seat, looking at the tactical display showing Earth's defensive formations. They've forgotten what it means to face an enemy that won't surrender. They've forgotten what war really looks like. He paused, watching ships maneuver into position. We're about to remind them. The shuttle jumped to faster than light speed, leaving the Council station behind. Across the galaxy, both human and alien forces prepared for the conflict to come. The age of Council dominance was ending, and humanity's refusal to submit would echo through history. The war room beneath the Pentagon buzzed with activity. Holographic displays showed ship positions, star maps, and constantly updating data feeds. President Lisa Martin stood at the center, surrounded by her military commanders and civilian advisors. Her face remained calm, but her fingers tapped rhythmically on the metal table before her. The Council has begun moving fleets toward our border systems, reported General Ryan Cooper. They're not waiting for their deadline. 3 battle groups are approaching the Titan defense line. Expected time frame for engagement? The President asked. 18 hours, ma'am. They're using standard Council FTL protocols. Predictable and slow. Defense Secretary Emma Williams pulled up tactical data. Our scout ships have mapped their approach vectors. They're coming in a standard diamond formation, just like the training simulations predicted. President Martin nodded. The simulations had been running for years, ever since the first contact with the Council. Humanity had studied every battle recording they could find, analyzed every ship design, and prepared for exactly this scenario. Status on our colonies? She asked. Evacuation is proceeding according to plan, answered Admiral Karen Brooks. All civilians in border systems are being transported to defendable positions. Military assets are hidden in asteroid fields and gas giant atmospheres. The stealth systems are working better than we hoped, added Colonel Steve Parker, tapping his display. Council sensors can't detect our ships when they're powered down. We tested it with their probe that passed through last month. President Martin walked to the central holographic display showing Earth and its defense fleet. Hundreds of ships orbited the planet, but she knew this was only a fraction of humanity's true military strength. The real fleet waited in secret, locations across the solar system ready to spring the trap. What about our allies? She inquired. The Zorthak have confirmed they'll provide covert support, said Secretary Williams. They can't openly break with the Council, but they've agreed to share intelligence and create strategic diversions. The Kredlin are considering our offer. General Cooper cleared his throat. Ma'am, if I may ask, how are we certain this declaration was the right choice? We could have negotiated, perhaps found a compromise. The President turned to face her, military commander. General, the Council has refused to recognize our diplomatic rights for 20 years. They've delayed every expansion request, blocked our trade agreements, and consistently undermined our sovereignty. They were preparing to do to us what they did to the Yorth, strangle our growth until we became dependent on them. Yes, ma'am. But their military advantage is theoretical, she interrupted. They haven't fought a real war in millennia. Meanwhile, we've spent 2 decades preparing for nothing else. She gestured to the holographic fleet. Every ship you see was designed for combat. Every pilot has trained in realistic war simulations. We've developed counter-strategies for every known Council weapon system. Dr. Rachel Goldman stepped forward from the research team. May I demonstrate our technological advantage? Without waiting for permission, she activated a new hologram showing a Council warship beside a human vessel. This is their standard battlecruiser, 2 kilometers long, armed with plasma cannon arrays and gravity distortion weapons. It can generate quantum shields that have defended against every weapon in the galaxy. She tapped a control, and the human ship's weapons highlighted. Now, watch what happens when our fusion lance pierces their shield matrix at harmonically tuned frequencies. The simulation showed a beam from the human ship cutting through the Council vessel's shields like they weren't there. The Council ship exploded in a spectacular display. That's impossible, Colonel Parker whispered. Their shields are supposed to be impenetrable. They are, Dr. Goldman confirmed, against every existing weapon. But we didn't build existing weapons. We spent 15 years developing technology specifically designed to defeat Council defenses. The Council's ship designers grew complacent, added Emma Williams. They haven't improved their basic designs in thousands of years. Why would they? No one has challenged them. President Martin studied the simulation. Show them the stealth fighter demonstration. Dr. Goldman ran another simulation. A Council sensor grid filled space with detection rays. Then human ships appeared, small angular crafts unlike anything in Council databases. They slipped through the sensor network without triggering any alarms. Complete sensor invisibility, the scientist explained. The Council's detectors look for specific energy signatures. Our ships emit none of those signatures. To their systems, our fighters are invisible ghosts. How many ships are ready for combat? President Martin asked. 35,000 combat vessels fully operational, Admiral Brooks responded. Another 5,000 in final preparations, plus numerous support craft, mobile shipyards, and automated defense platforms. The Council thinks we have 10,000 ships at most, noted General Cooper. Where did we hide the construction? In the outer system, answered Dr. Goldman. Beyond their observation range, we built the ships in sections, assembled them. In the Kuiper Belt, the mining colonies provided perfect cover for industrial activity. President Martin made her decision. Activate Phase 1 of the defense plan. I want every preparation checked and double-checked. This isn't a game or a simulation anymore. The room sprang into coordinated action. Officers hurried to their stations, data streams updated, and communication channels opened to distant star systems. Madam President, a communication officer, called out, we're receiving a transmission from the Council. Put it on screen. The holographic display switched to show a massive armored figure, the Council's supreme military commander. Its mechanical voice filled the room. To the leadership of Earth, you have acted in haste. Your declaration of war is meaningless. Submit now, and we will show mercy. Your species is not ready for the consequences of defying the Council. President Martin stepped forward to respond. We've been ready for 20 years. The question is whether the Council is ready for us. The armored figure's eyes glowed brighter. You speak of things you don't understand, our fleets. Your fleets are old, she interrupted. Your tactics are predictable. Your technology has stagnated. The only thing you understand is that no one has dared challenge you before. And they were wise not to, the commander growled. We prefer freedom to wisdom, President Martin stated firmly. If you want humanity to submit, come and make us. We'll be waiting. She cut the transmission. Message sent to all colonies, reported the communication officer. All forces acknowledge readiness condition 1. Intelligence reports Council ships have begun quantum charging, added an analyst. They'll be at our borders within 16 hours. What about public knowledge? Asked Secretary Williams. Should we inform Earth's population? President Martin shook her head. Not yet. If we begin public war announcements, it could cause panic. Right now, most citizens believe this is just a diplomatic crisis. Let them continue their daily lives until the first shots are fired. She turned to a large display showing Earth's blue surface. Cities dotted the continents, their lights twinkling as the planet rotated through day and night. Billions of people lived their lives, unaware that their species had just declared war on an empire that spanned thousands of star systems. Underground bunkers are at capacity, reported the Civilian Defense Coordinator. Essential personnel have been relocated to hardened facilities. Orbital defense platforms are online and hidden from Council sensors. Good. What about the lunar bases? Fully armed and operational, ma'am. The mass accelerators are tracking. Council approach vectors. Dr. Goldman returned to her display. If I may show you one more innovation? She brought up a new schematic. We've developed what we call the Nova Bomb. The hologram showed a weapon unlike anything in Council designs. It creates a controlled micro-supernova, producing a blast wave that can disable entire fleets. The Council's shields, hardened against energy weapons, actually trap the radiation inside. How many do we have? President Martin asked. 6 prototypes. We're manufacturing more as quickly as possible. And the quantum jammers. Ready for deployment. When activated, they'll disrupt Council FTL communications across an entire sector. They won't be able to coordinate their fleet actions. President Martin walked to the windows overlooking the Pentagon's grounds. Normal life continued outside. People drove cars, walked their dogs, complained about traffic. Soon, everything would change. Generals, admirals, all of you, she addressed the room. In less than a day, we'll be fighting a war against an empire that has ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years. They expect us to fail, they expect us to surrender. They don't understand humanity. She turned back to face them. We're not fighting because we think we'll win easily. We're fighting because freedom matters more than safety. Because the Council's peace is really oppression. Because we refuse to be pets in their galactic zoo. What are our victory conditions? General Cooper asked. Force them to negotiate new terms. Secure humanity's right to expand and develop freely. Break their monopoly on galactic power. She paused. And survive. The room absorbed this in silence. Everyone understood the magnitude of what they were attempting. Start the war protocols, President Martin ordered. Alert all commanders. Prepare for initial contact. And may whoever gods exist have mercy on us all, because the Council certainly won't. As her commanders hurried to relay orders, the President remained at the window. In 16 hours, the first shots would be fired. The outcome would determine humanity's fate for generations to come. Outside, the sun set over Virginia, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Beautiful, but somehow the colors reminded her of explosions in space. Tomorrow would bring real explosions, real warfare. Humanity had declared war on the galaxy. Now they would discover what their declaration truly meant. The void of space remained black and silent as the Council fleet approached Kepler Station. 300 warships moved in perfect formation through the darkness. Inside the command ship, Eternal Justice, Fleet Commander Thex Nari, studied the tactical displays with satisfaction. The humans had 12 hours to surrender. If they refused, his fleet would destroy their defensive platforms and seize the station. Status report, Thex Nari commanded. All ships in formation. Weapon systems at full power. Sensors detect minimal human activity, his second-in-command reported. They have fewer than 50 ships defending the station. Foolish, Thex Nari clicked his mandibles. They promised war but prepared for defeat. Lieutenant Commander Kevin O'Connor watched from the bridge of UES Sovereign. The human ship lurked behind a large asteroid, its stealth systems rendering it invisible to Council sensors. Through the view screen, he observed the enemy fleet approaching. His crew remained, quiet at their stations waiting for his orders. 300 ships confirmed, Lieutenant Jake Taylor reported. They're using standard Council-wide formation Delta. Just like the simulations, O'Connor nodded. Has the Council made contact with our decoy fleet? Yes, sir. They're demanding Surrender from our drone fleet at Kepler. O'Connor smiled. The Council saw 50 ships because that's what humanity wanted them to see. The real human fleet waited hidden among the asteroids. 320 attack ships armed with untested weapons. All ships, power up weapons but maintain. Stealth screens, he ordered into the comm. Attack pattern Gamma 5. We hit them when they're focused on the station. The bridge crew acknowledged his orders. O'Connor watched the enemy fleet slow down as it entered weapons range. The Council ships powered their massive plasma cannons and prepared to fire on Kepler Station. Send the signal, O'Connor commanded. A single pulse transmitted across space. Instantly, every human ship powered its engines and weapons. The stealth screens deactivated. 320 warships appeared around the Council fleet like ghosts materializing in reality. On the Eternal Justice, alarms screamed throughout the ship. Warning! Enemy ships detected! They're everywhere! The sensor officer's voice cracked with panic. Thexnari stared at his displays in disbelief. Ships that weren't there moments ago now surrounded his fleet. Their energy readings showed unfamiliar power signatures. Impossible. Those readings. What are those frequencies? He never received an answer. The human ships opened fire. Fusion lances cut through space like blue lightning. The beams struck Council shields at precise angles, slicing through energy barriers that had never been breached before. The first wave hit 20 Council vessels. Their shields flickered briefly before collapsing. The ships exploded in brilliant flames. Shields down on multiple vessels. Request emergency reinforcement. Communications channels filled with confused reports. Thexnari recovered from his shock. Return fire. All ships target nearest enemy. Plasma cannons fired back, filling space with green energy bursts. But human ships moved differently than expected. They rolled and spun in impossible patterns, their angular hull designs deflecting shots that did hit. The few impacts that landed failed to penetrate human shields. Their shields are regenerating faster than our weapons can destroy them, reported the weapons officer. Focus fire. Concentrate on single targets. Thexnari ordered. The Council ships attempted to reform their defensive positions, but human vessels darted between them like predatory fish. Small fighters, no larger than shuttlecraft, appeared from nowhere. They released swarms of missiles that exploded against Council hulls. Minor damage to outer sections, a damage control officer reported. But the missiles carry some kind of electronic countermeasure. They're disrupting our targeting computers. Switch to manual targeting, but manual targeting meant slower responses. The human ships exploited every delay, every moment of confusion. They attacked in coordinated groups of 3 or 4, overwhelming individual Council vessels before moving to the next target. Captain Sarah Bennett commanded her squadron as part of O'Connor's overall plan. Her ship Tiger's Claw led 5 other fighters in a diving attack on a Council destroyer. Attack Run Delta 3, target their engine section. Her ships accelerated to full speed, skimming past the destroyer's weapons. The Council crew tried to track them, but the human fighters moved too fast for manual targeting. 6 fusion lances struck the destroyer's engine simultaneously. Direct hit. Enemy propulsion offline, her weapons officer confirmed. Good shooting. All ships. Next target. Bennett's squadron left the crippled destroyer behind and moved toward a battlecruiser. Aboard Eternal Justice, Thexnari fought to maintain control of the battle. His fleet had lost 70 ships already. The humans had lost only 12. Order. All ships to withdraw. We need to regroup, he commanded reluctantly. Sir, Council doctrine forbids retreat, his second reminded him. Council doctrine wasn't written for this kind of enemy, Thexnari snapped. Send the retreat order. The Council fleet attempted to disengage. Ships turned away from the battle, preparing to charge their FTL drives. But the humans had anticipated this move. Activate quantum jammers, O'Connor ordered calmly. Invisible waves spread through space. Every Council ship attempting to jump to FTL found their drives suddenly inoperable. The quantum signals needed for faster-than-light travel were completely blocked. FTL systems non-functional. We can't escape. Panicked voices filled Council. Communication channels. Continue the attack. Press the advantage. O'Connor commanded his fleet. More fusion lances flashed through space. Human ships pursued the retreating Council vessels methodically. They targeted engines first, then weapon systems, then life support. Council ships that surrendered were allowed to drift. Those that continued fighting were destroyed. After 3 hours of combat, the battle ended. Of 300 Council ships, only 182 remained operational. 47 had surrendered or been disabled. 71 were destroyed. The human fleet had lost 26, ships with another 34 damaged. O'Connor studied the aftermath through his view screen. Council ships drifted in formations, their crews surrendering according to the terms broadcast earlier. Human salvage ships moved among the debris, collecting technology samples and rescuing survivors. Well fought, he told his crew. Damage report? Minor hull impacts, shields holding at 70%. Engineering reports we can maintain current operations, his first officer replied. Casualties? 12 injured, none critical. Ship's doctor has them under care. O'Connor nodded and opened a channel to Earth Command. Mission successful. Kepler station secure. Council fleet neutralized or surrendered, requesting next orders. At the Pentagon, President Martin received the news with relief. Our first victory. How did our weapons perform? Better than projected, General Cooper reported. The fusion lances exceeded all expectations. Council shields offered no resistance to our beam tuning frequency. And their response? They tried standard tactics learned from simulator training. Against an enemy following patterns, their strategy works. Against us, he gestured to the battle recordings showing human ships maneuvering unpredictably. Secretary Williams added, Intelligence intercepts suggest Council Command is confused. They've never encountered an enemy that ignores their tactical doctrine. Good. Confusion works in our favor, the President said. Status of our next targets? Scouting reports indicate 2 more Council fleets heading toward the Proxima system. They're 3 days out, Admiral Brooks answered. Will they fight differently after this defeat? Dr. Goldman pulled up comparative analysis. Their ships and weapons remain the same. They might alter tactics, but their fundamental limitations persist. They can't upgrade their entire fleet overnight. President Martin made her decision. Order O'Connor to rest his crews for 2 days, then proceed to Proxima. We'll meet the Second Council fleet there. As orders went out across human space, news of the victory spread. On Earth, people gathered around news screens. The government had finally announced the war to the public. The overwhelming nature of humanity's first victory surprised everyone. In the debris field of Kepler Station, human medical teams treated wounded Council prisoners. Many aliens stared at their captors in confusion. They had never experienced defeat before. They didn't understand how it happened. Why? Asked one of the surrendered Council officers. Your technology shouldn't be superior. How did you defeat us? The human medic tending to his injuries paused. You stopped innovating. You relied on old designs, old tactics. We spent 20 years solving the problem of fighting you. But the Council cannot be defeated. We have ruled for millennia. You ruled because no one could challenge you, the medic responded gently. Now someone can, and we just did. The officer fell silent, contemplating this new reality. Around him, other Council survivors faced the same realization. The galaxy they had known for 50,000 years was changing. Humanity had proven that the Council's dominance wasn't eternal. On the bridge of UES Sovereign, O'Connor submitted his final battle report. The data would be analyzed for future engagements. But everyone knew this victory was more than tactical. It was psychological. For the first time ever, the Galactic Council had lost a major battle. The legend of their invincibility was broken. Other species would hear about this. Some would reconsider their loyalty to the Council. Others might find courage to resist, in their own ways. As the Sovereign turned toward home for repairs, O'Connor looked out at the stars. More battles lay ahead. The Council would adapt, would learn from this defeat. But so would humanity. The war had truly begun. And the galaxy would never be the same. 3 weeks after the Battle of Kepler Station, the war spread across multiple star systems. Humanity's victory had shaken the foundation of Council authority. Species that had served the Council for thousands of years began to question their loyalty. Some offered secret support to humanity. Others withdrew their military forces from the war effort. Captain Alex Turner piloted his stealth frigate Midnight Storm through Council territory. His mission: destroy supply lines feeding Council war fleets. With him were 20 other raiders using guerrilla tactics that confused traditional Council commanders. They struck fast, disappeared into empty space, then hit another target light years away. "Supply depot ahead," reported his navigator, Lieutenant Mike Walsh. 3 transport ships loading antimatter fuel cells, light defensive escort. Standard raid pattern. "Hit the transports, ignore the escorts," Turner ordered. "We want supplies destroyed, not prolonged fighting." His ship ghosted through the system's outer edge. Council sensors failed to detect the angular stealth vessel. At optimal range, Midnight Storm decloaked and fired. Fusion torpedoes streaked toward the transport ships. 2 exploded instantly. The third shields held temporarily before a follow-up. "Salvo destroyed it. Supply depot neutralized, fuel reserves eliminated," Walsh confirmed. "Jump coordinates locked in," the helmsman added. "Ready for immediate departure." Turner watched as Council defense ships belatedly responded to the attack. Their weapons fired into empty space where his ship had been moments ago. The raid had lasted less than 2 minutes. "Jump," he commanded. Stars elongated into lines as Midnight Storm vanished. Back at Council headquarters, Supreme Commander Zath Kor reviewed damage reports. Raiders had struck 17 supply depots in the past week. Council fleets struggled to maintain their advance without adequate resources. "How do they know our shipping routes?" Zath Kor demanded. "Supply schedules are classified at the highest levels." His intelligence officer hesitated. "Sir, we've detected unusual communications from member species. Some appear to be sharing strategic information." "Which species?" "Unclear. The messages use encryption we cannot break. Human encryption, we believe." Zath Kor's crystalline body glowed angry red. Thousands of years of loyalty unraveling in weeks. "Double security on all communications. Monitor member species for signs of betrayal." Meanwhile, on a hidden asteroid base near the Zorthak frontier, human agents met with alien representatives. Ambassador Eric Johnson negotiated with the Kredlin delegation in a small conference room. The Kredlin resembled floating brains within mechanical suits, their thoughts translated into speech. "Your success surprises us," admitted the lead Kredlin negotiator. "We thought human resistance would fail within days." "We prepared thoroughly," Johnson replied simply. "The Council provided the Kredlin with advanced education after they restricted our technological development. We could offer your scientists knowledge of quantum mechanics far beyond your current understanding. In exchange for protection. If we support humans openly, the Council will punish us severely." Johnson considered this carefully. "We'll need time to establish defensive positions around Kredlin space. But yes, we can offer protection in exchange. For your knowledge." The Kredlin's mechanical suit translated excited thought patterns into words. "This could advance your technology decades, perhaps enough to ensure victory." Back on Earth, Dr. Rachel Goldman worked in her laboratory beneath the surface of Luna. Her team studied captured Council technology recovered from the Kepler Station battle. The research yielded useful insights about Council weaknesses. Their quantum computers process data in predictable patterns, she explained to visiting military commanders. "We can create viruses specifically designed to exploit these patterns." "Cyber warfare?" General Cooper asked. "Precisely. Upload these programs during our raids and Council ships will experience cascading system failures. Weapons, navigation, life support, all controlled by these quantum systems." "How soon can you manufacture these viruses?" "We already have prototypes. Field testing can begin immediately." Dr. Goldman's assistant, Jennifer Hayes, demonstrated the program on a simulator. "Watch what happens when our virus infiltrates a Council quantum network." The simulation showed a Council battle cruiser. Green digital tendrils spread through its systems. Within seconds, The ship's weapons powered down, engines went offline, and emergency life support activated. Temporary or permanent damage? Cooper inquired. Temporary if they hard reset their systems, but that takes hours and leaves them defenseless. In battle, that's fatal. 3 days later, Captain Sarah Bennett led an attack incorporating the new cyber weapons. Her ship Nighthawk and 5 companions approached a Council patrol group near the Beta Centauri system. Instead of opening with conventional weapons, she initiated the cyber attack protocol. Virus deployed, her cyber warfare specialist confirmed, uploading through their quantum communications. The lead Council ship suddenly lost power. Its weapons went silent, engines flickered and died. The other patrol ships tried to assist, but experienced similar system failures as the virus spread through their networked computers. They're dead in space, Bennett observed. No hostility, just confusion and fear. Orders, Captain? Bennett made the call. Broadcast terms of surrender. Offer to help restore their basic life support in exchange for peaceful withdrawal from human space. 2 Council ships accepted immediately. The third tried to manually override its systems but failed. Within an hour, all 3 surrendered without a single shot fired. As weeks turned to months, humanity's tactics evolved constantly. Traditional space battles continued, but cyber warfare and diplomatic alliances proved equally important. Council struggled to adapt to this multi-pronged approach. In the Turtic system, Commander Lisa Grant coordinated a major assault. Her task force included human ships plus vessel contributed by the Zorthak Empire, the first open alliance with another species. Remember, Zorthak ships use different tactical displays, she reminded her crew. Communication lag is 5 seconds due to translation systems. The combined fleet engaged a Council defensive force. Human ships used their superior stealth and weapons. Zorthak vessels contributed heavy shields and experienced coordination. The 2 species' different strengths complemented each other perfectly. Council ships attempting to flank our position, reported Ensign David Mills. Zorthak commander suggests they will absorb the assault while we attack from behind. Agreed. Tell them we're moving to execute pincer maneuver. The battle demonstrated how human alliances strengthened their military capability. Council commanders had expected fighting a single species. Instead, they faced a growing coalition with diverse technologies and tactics. But not all developments favored humanity. The Council began studying human tactics and developing counter-strategies. New shield frequencies reflected fusion lance energy. Ships modified their quantum computers to resist cyber attacks. Most concerningly, they started building new vessels specifically designed to fight human forces. President Lisa Martin reviewed these intelligence reports with growing concern. They're adapting faster than we projected. They still have fundamental limitations, Defense Secretary Emma Williams countered. Council bureaucracy slows innovation. Building new ships takes years. Years we might not have, the President murmured. She turned to General Cooper. What's our status on the Sol system defenses? Complete. Every approach vector is covered. If they attempt to strike at Earth directly, we're ready. And our reserve fleets? Hidden and prepared, but... Cooper hesitated. But what, General? If the Council commits its full military strength, we'll face overwhelming numbers. Our technology gives us an edge, not guaranteed victory. The President stared at holographic displays showing ongoing battles across the galaxy. Red markers indicated Council forces. Blue represented humanity and allies. The distribution looked roughly even, but she knew Council had far more ships in reserve. We knew this would be difficult, she said finally. Continue current operations, expand our alliance network, and prepare for the possibility that the Council will bring everything they have to Sol system. As if responding to her words, an urgent message arrived from deep space monitoring stations. Madam President, the communication officer announced, we're detecting unusual activity in the Andromeda sector. Multiple FTL signatures, very large energy readings. How large? Readings consistent with a Grand Armada formation. Silence fell over the war room. A Grand Armada meant the Council was committing unprecedented military force, millions of ships instead of thousands. Such formations had ended civilizations throughout galactic history. President Martin straightened her shoulders. If they're coming to Seoul with everything they have, let them come. We've prepared for this too. She turned to her commanders. Activate contingency protocols. Recall all raiding forces. Position every ship we have for defense of our home system. What about our allies? Admiral Brooks asked. The Zorthak and Kredlin know the stakes. Contact all species we've been negotiating with. Tell them this is their chance to join us against Council tyranny, or accept their fate under eternal control. As orders flew across human space, Captain Alex Turner received the recall notice. He understood immediately. His raiding days were over. The final battle was coming. Set course for Earth, he told his crew. Maximum speed, we're going home. Across dozens of star systems, human forces disengaged from their missions and turned toward Sol. Remote defense platforms powered up. Hidden shipyards worked around the clock preparing new vessels. Allies repositioned their fleets to support humanity's last stand. The Council had made their decision. They would crush human resistance once and for all. But humanity had prepared for this moment since their first day in space. The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin. The edge of the Milky Way buzzed with activity as the largest space fleet in galactic history assembled. 6 million Council warships gathered in perfect formation, forming a wall of metal and energy that stretched across space. At their center, the massive flagship Imperial Dawn dwarfed every other vessel. Its surface gleamed with weapons powerful enough to crack planets. Supreme Commander Zath Kor stood on the bridge of Imperial Dawn, surrounded by holographic displays. Every screen showed human defensive positions around Sol system. The enemy had marshaled perhaps 100,000 ships. Impressive for such a young species, but far from enough. Begin final preparations, Zath Kor ordered. No species has ever defeated the full might of the Council. Today we end human defiance forever. His subordinates moved quickly to relay commands. Millions of ships charged their weapons. FTL drives prepared for the massive jump to Earth's solar system. The Council Armada would arrive in overwhelming force, giving humanity no time to prepare. But Earth had prepared for months. President Lisa Martin stood in the command center deep beneath Antarctica, surrounded by her military leaders. Above ground, humanity had continued normal life, keeping the final battle preparations secret from public panic. Council Armada confirmed, reported General Cooper. 6 million ships moving toward our position. Status of our defenses? President Martin asked. All hidden fleets in position, allies standing by. The Quantum Gate network is ready. Admiral, Brooks consulted her display. Our 100,000 ships are positioned exactly as we intended. And the Nova bombs? All 6 prototypes loaded and ready. Dr. Goldman confirms they'll work as designed. The President nodded slowly. Execute Plan Gambit. Let's show the Council what happens when they bring everything they have. Across human space, carefully hidden forces sprang into action. Behind distant moons, inside nebulae, and cloaked near stars, additional human ships powered up their engines. The 100,000 visible defenders represented only a third of humanity's true fleet. Another 200,000 ships waited in secret positions. As the Council Armada entered, the outer edge of human defensive space, automated sensors triggered. Warning broadcasts went out. Attention Council forces, turn back now or face total annihilation. Laughter echoed across Council command channels. They had heard such threats before from doomed species. But as they advanced into the Sol system, perimeter, something unexpected happened. The stars themselves seemed to twist and bend. Space rippled with gravitational anomalies. The Council's FTL drives began malfunctioning erratically. Warning, quantum interference detected. Panicked voices filled the communications. We can't maintain formation. Zath Kor studied his sensors with growing concern. Analysis. What is causing this phenomenon? Unknown technology, Commander. The quantum fields are being manipulated artificially. Impossible. Such power requires... He trailed off as realization struck. They've weaponized quantum mechanics. Dr. Rachel Goldman watched from Luna's underground laboratories as her quantum field generators operated at full power. Years of studying captured Council tech had revealed weaknesses in their FTL systems. By creating specific quantum distortions, humanity could disable the Council's ability to coordinate their massive fleet. Field strength at 90%, her assistant reported. Council ships dropping out of FTL inside the defensive grid. President Martin received the confirmation. The trap is sprung. Release Phase 2. Suddenly, 200,000 human ships materialized from stealth mode throughout the Council formation. They attacked in coordinated groups, targeting command, vessels, and communication relays. Council ships, scattered by quantum interference, struggled to respond effectively. Captain Kevin O'Connor commanded the assault from his flagship. Focus fire on their command structure. Without coordination, their numbers mean nothing. Fusion lances crisscrossed space. Human cyber weapons infected Council quantum networks. Small fighter squadrons darted between massive warships, planting virus-loaded boarding pods. The Council Armada, designed for overwhelming frontal assault, found itself fighting on all sides simultaneously. Zathkor attempted to regain control. All ships, isolate your systems, prevent the cyber attacks from spreading. But isolating systems meant slower communication and no coordinated defense. Human forces exploited every weakness. When Council ships isolated their systems, quantum jammers disrupted their targeting. When they networked for better coordination, cyber weapons devastated their control systems. We're losing ships faster than reports can reach us, Zathkor's second-in-command reported. Human tactics are unprecedented. The battle raged for hours. Council ships, despite superior individual power, fell in massive numbers. Their formations broke apart. Ships collided with each other in the confusion. Some tried retreating but found human forces blocking their escape routes. Then came the ultimate surprise. Deploy Nova bombs, General Cooper ordered quietly. 6 human ships modified for the mission approached specific points in space. At carefully calculated positions, they released the weapons that humanity hoped would end the war. Each Nova bomb created a controlled stellar eruption, a small supernova contained within quantum fields. The blast waves propagated through hyperspace, affecting an entire region of space simultaneously. Council shields, designed to stop energy weapons, actually trapped the exotic radiation inside their ships. As the wave hit, thousands of Council vessels experienced catastrophic system failures. Inside the Imperial Dawn, alarms screamed as the flagship's mighty shields turned from protection to death trap. Radiation levels critical. Core breach imminent, voices shouted across the bridge. Zathkor watched in disbelief as his invincible fleet crumbled. Half his ships were disabled or destroyed. The others scattered, fleeing in terror from weapons they couldn't comprehend. Retreat, all ships jump immediately. But the quantum interference made coordinated retreat impossible. Ships jumped randomly, many arriving at different systems with no idea where the rest of their fleet had gone. By the time the battle ended, less than 1 million Council ships remained operational. 5 million were destroyed, disabled, or captured. The mighty Grand Armada had been shattered in a single day. In the aftermath, President Martin made a bold decision. Instead of demanding surrender, she offered negotiation. Ambassador Jake Miller once again stood before the Council, though this time fewer members attended. Many seats remained empty. Species whose ships had been destroyed or who had withdrawn support from the Council. You have proven your strength, the speaker admitted, its colors showing defeat. What are humanity's terms? Complete reform of the Council, Miller stated clearly. Equal voting rights for all species, regardless of age. Free trade and expansion. Rights. No more restrictions on technological development. The Council serves its members. It doesn't rule them. Debate filled the chamber, but the outcome was inevitable. The Council had lost its military power. Member species had lost faith in the old system. Change was necessary for survival. We accept your terms, the speaker finally announced. Thus began the new Galactic Age. The Council reformed into a truly representative government. Hundreds of species previously denied rights gained equal status. Trade flourished as restrictions lifted. Technologies that had been suppressed for millennia suddenly became available to all. Some council species struggled to adapt to equality. A few attempted rebellion but found no support in the new order. Most, however, discovered that cooperation brought more prosperity than domination. Humanity, instead of becoming the new dominant power, advocated for balance and fair representation. They had fought not for conquest but for freedom. Now they ensured that freedom extended to everyone. Years later, ancient species that once viewed humans as primitive upstarts worked alongside them on joint research projects. The Zorthak became humanity's closest allies, their warrior culture finding new purpose in exploration instead of conquest. The Kredlin scientists, freed from restrictions, made breakthrough discoveries that benefited all species. Most surprising to many was the effect on galactic culture. The Council's oppressive peace had stifled not just technology but also art, philosophy, and social progress. With the restrictions lifted, a renaissance of creativity swept across the galaxy. President Lisa Martin, now nearing the end of her term, stood once more in the Pentagon's war room. But this room, once filled with battle displays, now hosted peaceful coordination between multiple species. "We changed the galaxy," General Cooper observed, standing beside her. "The galaxy was ready for change," she corrected. "We just gave it that push." Ambassador Miller's voice came through the communicator. "Madam President, the first truly free council session is about to begin. They're naming you as honorary chair in recognition of humanity's role in reform." Lisa Martin smiled at the irony. Humanity had declared war without hesitation to preserve their independence. By doing so, they had liberated thousands of other species from oppression. "Tell them I'll be there," she replied. In space above Earth, vessels from 100 different species orbited peacefully. What had been humanity's desperate stand became the foundation for a new era. The Galactic Council's stunned reaction to humanity's declaration had transformed into respect for the principle that freedom was worth fighting for. The war had ended not with domination, but with understanding. Humanity had proven that sometimes refusing to submit was the only path to true peace. The stars belonged to everyone now,